Hi, this is Pat Dignan from Image Arts. I'm going to be talking a little about the layers palette and how it works and how I use it. I know there's a million ways to get things done in Photoshop. There's no right and wrong way, but everybody has their own ways of making things work. And I'm going to show you kind of how I make things work. Maybe it'll be helpful to you. On the lowest layer here, I'm just going to go through a picture that I did here for Bed Bath & Beyond for a cover of a bridal registry catalog. We had a really nice photograph of these really cool bottle openers, like wine bottle openers, and a cap thing to go on it. I noticed right away, here let's switch into full frame mode so we can zoom in on things a little easier. We've got a lot of noise on the red here, so I wanted to get rid of that or to play that down a little bit. It was a lot more evident in a very high res picture than I've resed this down a little bit just for the video. But I duplicated a part of the picture here and softened it up a little bit to get rid of some of the noise there using the dust and scratches filter. It's funny, I never use it for dust and scratches, but for getting rid of noise, it does a really good job. Then on top of that, I just put a general cleanup. Obviously, we've got on the chrome, we've got some places that don't look as nice as we'd like on their necks here, and on the ear. See, the blowout is right here is getting rid of the edge of it, so we put that back in. And then I have an overall color adjustment here. The picture overall was pretty was a little cold, and so I used a layer here, an adjustment layer of curves to fix that. Now, to make the background white here, we've added a few layers here. We covered the background with white in this layer over on the side there. Covered the reflection at the bottom. Totally covered. Worked on the shadow here a little bit on this part with this layer. Totally cover shadow. Oh, over on the side there, we wanted to totally get rid of what the reflection that we're getting from the handle and everything. And this here, his shadow, the shadow from the guy figure was cutting across here, and I wanted to minimize that so we didn't have this like two-step thing going on in the shadow. So I've added that, and you'll notice on these I've also added layer masks onto these layers so that I could control. I can paint in a really wide area. And we'll turn this off so you can see a little better what's going on here. I've painted with a really huge soft brush in this area, but then I wanted to stop it abruptly here, but I don't want to erase, just in case I need to go back and expand that area or something. So I just want to temporarily cover it up. So I create a layer mask here, and by hitting Option and clicking on there, you can see exactly where I've painted that layer mask. That's very effective, adding layer masks like that. You click on this icon right at the bottom of the layer palette to add that layer mask. Say if I needed one on this, I would click on here, go here with my pen tool, pick black, and then start painting in here. You can see it's starting to show through there. So, but we don't need that, so we'll delete that layer mask. I did that with a right-clicked on the layer mask, and it brings up this list of things you can do with that. I use a 3-button mouse all the time and find that to be very helpful and be able to right-click on things. So let's go back to where we are there. Now I needed to fix the faces. we still have a lot of problems with the faces on here. So I've created another layer set here that has the woman's face. What I've done I painted a large. Let's disable this. I created a gradation, basically laid in color and then painted in the darker areas to create shading on that, and then put a layer mask in to have it only show in the areas that I wanted it to show. Then I also added a layer here. This is a layer of exactly 50% gray over that. Then I've added noise to that and set it all to soft light. What that does, I also reduced the opacity of it a little because it was too strong. But what that does is adds noise to the picture down below without affecting the color at all. And I can scale this image here to actually scale the kernels of noise to better get it to match the image, the existing photograph, because all photographs, no matter how they're shot, have a certain amount of noise to them. Digital pictures don't have nearly as much noise as some of the grain that we used to get in film, but there's still noise, especially in darker areas on digital shot pictures. Then I worked on the hair area. It's not really hair, but I call it that, to smooth that out also. Also added noise on that layer, and then worked on the man's face. We have reflections from fill cards and dark cards and things that were on the set to make the picture look nice, but then when they directly reflect on the chrome like that, it can look bad. So by smoothing it out like that, it still looks like chrome, but it's not. It doesn't have those ugly parts in it. Okay, now I did some color adjustments on the whole thing. I did some really small things, like just working on his flower. See, if you look in here, there's very little detail, and by increasing the contrast, let's see, yes, I set this just to luminosity, so it doesn't change the color, it just changes the contrast. You can see in that flower, the only area of content is in the color is right in here. So I've increased the steepness of that to increase the contrast, and you see a little more detail coming out there. This is overall contrast, except that it's over just some areas of the picture, not the whole thing. And once again, this time I've changed the color a little bit too, but pulled down the blacks and balanced the color of black so that it's neutral on things like the bow tie and stuff here. The defined veil. Oh yeah, my client was concerned. Let's deselect there. My client was concerned that the veil here was going to disappear, and I wanted to make sure that we had something there. See, out here we're pure white. I wanted to make sure we had something there that was going to hold up on press. So I added this to adjustment here. I'm just pulling down the very smallest, the things that were like 1% now, I'm making them like 2 or 3%, and then painting a layer mask on so it just follows right along the edge here. We can select that and show you where it is. Okay, on his pants, I've whitened them up. They were kind of yellow, and I've whitened them up, added a little contrast there. Oh, don't want to move that layer. Then his red, the client was nice enough to actually send these products with me, and so I was able to see what they actually look like. And this red was too washed out, so I adjusted it with a hue saturation layer and curves layer here to change the red on his shirt, and I adjusted the blue on the woman's dress so that it more closely matched the product as well. And this adjustment layer is here to neutralize the chrome areas on the bottle openers, so that they don't have a color cast. You'll notice that all of these adjustment layers are either hue saturation and mostly curve layers. The curves are by far the most powerful adjustment tool you have in Photoshop. There's many others. You can do levels and auto contrast, and brightness contrast, and all kinds of things like that. But there isn't anything that you can't do with curves. The curves, you can change the brightness, you can change the contrast, you can do anything you can, and you have the added ability to protect certain tone ranges. Like if you don't want to blow out your whites, but you want to change something that's like in this case here, we don't want to blow out the whites, or we don't want to change the white to, say, a 2%, but we want to take something that's only 2% and make it 3 or 4. We have that power with curves that you don't have in anything else. So I use curves for just about everything, with the exception of the occasional hue saturation, which is really just for fine adjustment, just a little last step adjustment of color, never a big swing. So I hope that helps you with understanding what can be done in the layers palette. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is pdignan@imageartsonline.com. Thanks.